Hi, this is Group Zero, and we are Hudson Nasby, me, and Esmeralda Martell. For this presentation, we're going to explain the major UML diagrams and artifacts we created for our MVOMP portfolio. MVOMP, or MVOMP, is our marketplace system, and we use it as the main example to show how system analysis and design artifacts connect together. Yes, I'm Hudson. It's my second year in the CNIT major, and Esmeralda's third year. We both contributed to the project, and let's begin. The main topic of this presentation is how the UML diagrams and artifacts help with system analysis and design. MVOMP sounds simple at first because it is a marketplace system. But once we include checkout, payment processing, returns, disputes, notifications, and outside services, the system becomes more complex. UML helped us break down this system into smaller parts. Our goal is to give a clear overview of what we learned from the portfolio. We are not covering every tiny detail, but we are explaining the most important parts. By the end, the audience should understand how this diagrams helped us move from a broad system idea to a more organized design. These SDLC methods all help teams build systems, but they work best in different situations. Waterfall is best when the project is very clear from the beginning. RUP is still structured, but it gives the team more room to adjust. Agile and Scrum are more flexible because they use short cycles and feedback. Prototype and Spiral are useful when the team is still testing ideas or dealing with higher risk. A good way to understand the artifacts is by seeing them as a flow. First, the CMD helps define the scope. Then the requirements and event matrix turn the stakeholder needs into details the team can check. After that, behavior diagrams show how users and the system interact. Finally, design diagrams show the structure and the architecture needed to actually build the system. Each diagram answers a different question. The CMD answers what is inside and outside the system. The requirements table answers what the system needs to do. The event matrix answers what the system should respond to. The activity and sequence diagrams explain behavior, while the class, component, and the deployment diagrams move more into design and architecture. This is why no single artifact is enough by itself.
Of major UML diagrams. This slide will help give a quick overview of some of the main UML diagrams we used. The context model diagram helps to give the big picture view by showing the system boundary and outside actors as well as data flows. And the class diagram is more focused on structure because it shows classes, attributes, methods, and relationships. The use case diagram shows what users do with the system, but it does not go deep into every internal step. The activity diagram is more process based because it shows workflows, decisions, and swim lanes. The sequence diagram shows how messages move between actors and system parts over time, and together all these diagrams help to explain the MVOP system from different points of views. And next we have some other design artifacts. Um, the requirements documents list what the system needs to do and makes those needs easier to test and track. The event analysis matrix shows events that the system responds to, along with triggers, inputs, outputs, and actors. The use case narrative explains the user goal step by step and that is including normal and alternate paths. The component diagram shows the major system parts and interfaces, while the deployment diagram shows where the software runs, such as servers and devices. And last, the state machine diagram is useful because it shows how one object changes states over time, like in order moving through its life cycle. And next, we have diagram and artifact limitations. So even though all of these diagrams are useful, each diagram will obviously have its own limitations. The context model diagram is good for showing scope, but it doesn't explain the detailed system logics. The requirements document is important, but it can become long and hard to update as the system grows. The use case diagram shows major functions, but it doesn't show every step in the process. And activity diagrams are helpful for workflows, but if it has too many paths, it can make it cluttered. And the main idea is that no single diagram explains the entire system by itself, and a team needs multiple artifacts to be able to understand MVOP clearly. Next, we have our key takeaways. So our main takeaway is that UML helped us organize MVOP from a broad idea into a clearer system design. And instead of looking at the whole system all at once, the diagrams helped break it into smaller views and also different angles. And some artifacts focused on scope, some focused on behavior, and others focused on structure and deployment. And this made it easier to explain and helped us catch missing details earlier in the system. And overall, UML gave the team a clear starting plan before moving into coding or implementation. And our conclusion and final thoughts. To conclude, we want to say that UML diagrams are helpful because they help to make complex systems easier to understand before the coding begins. And MVOP had many actors and processes, including buyers, sellers, admins, and so on. So it needed more than one view. And each artifact explained one part of the system, and some showed what users needed, and some showed how workflows happen, and others showed the technical design. And our final thought is that UML is really about communication, and it helps the team to stay on the same page and make better decisions early. And these are our references. And thank you for your attention.